In this video, I'm going to go over the menu bar object. So the first thing that we have are transform. Move, rotate, scale, flip, horizontal, which is your mirror for your HTV, flip vertical, and auto fit. So let's go ahead and come down here and select this rectangle. Alright, and then let's go to Object Transform, Move. Now, you can move it with your handles and resize it and skew it and all that stuff. These are just more precise settings, okay? You have absolute position and relative position, and you can put some shapes on your mat or your workspace and check those out. I'm not going to go through every single setting because I'll just let you go ahead and play around with that, okay? So I'll cancel that, and then we have Object Transform Rotate, and you have Angle and Skew here. You can, like, if I just hit Apply, it's going to rotate it at 45-degree angle, okay? I'll let you play around with those, and then Object Transform Scale. You can scale by percentage or dimensions. You have all these options down here as well, so you can play around with that. And then we have flip horizontal, which the rectangle is not going to show you anything, so I'll select this text here and go to Object Transform Flip Horizontal. So then it's backwards for cutting HTV. Alright, I'll undo that. And then we have Transform Flip Vertical. I'll undo that. And we have Transform Auto Fit. Now, what this is going to do is it's going to take whatever you have selected and it's going to stretch it out to fit the mat. Okay? Next on the object menu is Arrange. Bring to front, bring forward, send backward, send to back. So if I choose this circle that's in between the square and the star, and I go to Object, Arrange, bring to front, it's going to put it in front of everything. Object, Arrange, bring, send to back, it puts it behind everything. Object, Arrange, bring forward. Now, right now it's behind everything. So what's behind what? The rectangle's on top, the star is in the middle, and the circle is on the bottom. So if I choose the circle and I want to bring it forward, it will put it in between the square and the star. So I'll go to Object, Arrange, Bring Forward. And now it's between those two. And the same goes for Arrange, Send Backward, which it's in the middle right now, so if I send it backwards, it's the same thing as sending it to the back. Send backward. If I go ahead and I draw another circle over here, or square, and I select this, alright, so now it's on the bottom. So if I go to Object, Arrange, Bring Forward, it's going to bring it between, it's going to bring it above the star but under these two squares. Alright, so let me go to Object, Arrange, Bring Forward. And this one is actually on the top. I'll go ahead and change that color so that you can see it's on the top. Alright, so that's how those work. And then you have alignment, align to page and align to selection. And all of this is also in the position and size. Horizontal and vertical to selection and to page. Okay, And then that brings us to distribute. So if you look up here in Object Distribute, you have distribute to page, distribute to selection, or distribute to selection below. So these are the functions and these are the options. These are the options for horizontal objects and these are for vertical objects. All right. I'm not going to go through all of the vertical objects because it does the same thing as the horizontal objects, just except they're placed vertically. All right. I will show you what I think is probably the most common ones used. But anyway, so let's go to distribute. Distribute to page is going to be our function. All right. If I click on that, nothing happens. And nothing happens because that is the function. We have to give it an option. All right. So if I distribute left, what it does is it puts the left object to the page because it's actually distributed to the page. Okay. And then if I take this bar here and I snap it at the end of the page and I drag it out to snap it at this left side of this object and I drag it over here to snap it to this left side of the object, it snaps to this left side of the object. Okay, so let me go ahead and back that up. And then we have object distribute to page, distribute center horizontally. So now what this does is it took the center of this object to the center of this object to the center of this object. Okay, the distance from the center of this object to the center of this object and the center of this object to the center of this object. Now let me go ahead and back up. All right, and I actually want to select this and object arrange to the front because I saw it was hiding behind a couple of those. All right, so then we have object distribute, distribute to page, distribute right. Now this does what distribute left does, except it's using the right side of the page. So if I come over here and I snap this to the right side of the page and snap this to the right side of this object, whoops, right side of the page to the right side of this object, if I could get it, my goodness. I'm not sizing it properly. Let me see. Snap there and snap there. Now it should work right. The right side of the page. It's still too long. All right, let's do this. The right side of this object to the right side of this object is where it should snap. All right. Now if I come over here and do the right side to the right side, okay? Sorry about that. It's equal distance from the right side to the right side to the right side, okay? All right, and then let me back up. Sorry about all the mouse clicks there. All right, and then we have object distribute to page, distribute space horizontally. So if I go ahead and I snap this to the side of this, and snap this to the side of this, it gives me the space in here, equal distance between all three objects. Okay, and then we have the vertical options, which are exactly the same. Let me go ahead and rotate this, and I will select these three, move them over here, select the vertical, and put those there. Now, like I said, it does the exact same thing as the horizontal, but I'll just show you the space vertically. So these, the distances should be exactly the same. And if I could get this to snap properly, they are. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video here, and you can play around with it and try to get a feel for how it works. Next on the object menu is group and ungroup. Pretty self-explanatory. If I select these two, I can go to object group, or I can right click and group. Then I can go to object ungroup, or I can right click and ungroup. Now I want to show you something because I clicked down here and made a little shape. If I go to my layers panel here, you can see I have three shapes, but I only see two. If I select this one, you're going to see that it is actually right there, so I can delete that. Every once in a while, all it takes, if you're like in your rectangle tool, is a click. And sometimes you'll click over here and you won't see it, and then you check your layers panel before you close your project or whatever, and you see these two shapes, but they're not there, but they are. So you need to select it with your selection tool and get rid of those. All right, there's one up here. Okay, so now I have my two shapes and my two layers. All right, so that does it for group and ungroup. Pretty much everybody knows how to do that, but I am going over the menu. Break apart, and the first thing I'll show you is this leaf here. If I go to object break apart, it fills in all those holes. Okay, but if I move this, you can see that I have all those holes. So what you need to do after you do a break apart is select what you want selected and go to path union to make it one piece. Okay, so then we have, let's see, this eagle over here with this text. So I could right click and ungroup, but I need to union some of these pieces together. So I'm going to go ahead and go to object. Well, I have to have it selected first. Object break apart. Okay, and then I can select this text and get rid of it. Just hit delete on the keyboard, and then I can pull my pieces apart here. Okay, so this red piece and this red needs to be unioned together. So let me Control Z out of that and select this red piece, and hold shift and select this red piece, and then go to path union, and then it makes it one piece. Okay, now this white also needs to be union, but I'm not going to go through all of that. So we'll come over here to merge. What merge does is basically cuts one object out of another. Or, well, I'll just show you here. Let me go ahead and duplicate this, and I'll type out some text here. And I'll go ahead and change that color. Alright, so if I select this rectangle here and I stretch it out so my StarCraft can fit in there nicely, and I select both and I go to Object Merge, what it's going to do is cut the StarCraft out of the rectangle. So basically it could make a stencil for, you know, painting. You can paint inside of that, whatever. Alright, so then again, if I take a circle and a square, and I will go to align those center vertically. Oh, this is to page. I need selection. And let me go ahead and select this and go to Object, Arrange, Send to Back so I can see my circle. Okay, and now if I go to Object Merge, it's going to cut that circle out of that rectangle. Okay, so that is merge and break apart.